Hello and very good evening to everyone. After a couple of weeks, I'm back for a Facebook Live. I hope everyone's doing fine, healthy, and taking good care of yourselves. Well, today's topic is about understanding the whole thought around traditional schooling, homeschooling, and something new that many of you may not have heard of, which is called unschooling. Now, this has been a burning topic for quite some time, and especially post the pandemic, the lockdown, parents started to get quite uneasy with this online platform, and everyone just wanted to charge into homeschooling because मेरा बच्चा online class में नहीं बैठता है. Now, most of the bachas who are not sitting in the online class were more to do with the pre-primary grade. But seldom do parents know that pre-primary graders, any which ways, don't sit in one place even in the school. Just because you don't get to get into the classroom, you actually just don't seem to see that. But the fact is, pre-primary kids do not sit very steady even in the classroom. They are all over the place even in the classroom. That is why a very healthy teacher-child ratio is important. So these children can be pulled back and made to sit down and concentrate on what they need to do and everything. Now, quite often on multiple platforms, I am asked, what is homeschooling? And over the last 2 years, I have been noticing parents use this word very casually. हम बच्चे को घर से पढ़ा रहे हैं, मतलब we are homeschooling. And quite often you would see me respond to saying that you're not homeschooling. You're currently schooling your child from home. And you're teaching your child at home. Homeschooling has a certain thought process around it. And that's what I would like to share with some of you today. Now, traditional schooling. What is traditional schooling? It's nothing but a set of procedures that are followed traditionally since age-old years for the general public. Okay, so what does schooling do? It has a building structure, it has few walls around, and you sit within a certain box. That's what I usually call it. And then you put a bunch of kids together, whether they match up with each other or no combination or anything, but you put them all together and they have to sit and study. They have to sit and study not based on their caliber, but they have to sit and study based on what we as a school decided this is the best for the child. Now, whether the child likes it or doesn't like it, can take it up, etc., nobody cares. Now, that's not going to come under traditional schooling. The thought is, school jana hai, padhai karna hai. Where does this thought come from? It comes from the stemmed in fact that's drilled inside us as adults of this age who have schooled for all their entire life, never understood that there was a concept of homeschooling and unschooling that has been existent in our culture for thousands of years. Homeschooling and unschooling is not something that's new. It has been here for many, many years. But no one ever explored it because we were all just taught, you're 3 years old, come on, get to a nursery school. That's where the journey starts from. Now, whether you like it, you don't like it, you want to do it, you don't want to do it, koi bacche se nahi poochta hai, nobody really cares. Now, what is homeschooling? Well, I'm going to delve into the detail of everything. I'll just give a gist first, a couple of sentences about each of this. What is homeschooling? Homeschooling and schooling from home are two different things. Okay? Homeschooling is something where a dedicated person is at home, either one of the parent or a dedicated teacher who comes home, again, has a structure that is followed. Okay? In a homeschooling pattern, what happens is you have a structure that you follow. However, that structure still stays generic around the child's likings. So, in a homeschooling, Suppose I pick up the textbooks of, say, something that will interest a 8-year-old child. Okay, so around, say, second or third grader. Then what I would do is make the teacher, either the parent or a teacher who's going to come home and teach the child in homeschooling, the teacher would make a planner on these are how the child is going to learn. Okay, so what they can do is on Monday they can have like 3 hours of English, Tuesday they would have like 3 hours of math, Wednesday they would have like 3 hours of art. So it is all, how the child would like to take it. Now remember, homeschooling is absolutely one-to-one. Okay, very rarely it is 1:2. And yeah, if the family has 2 children or 3 children who want to be a part of the homeschooling journey, then one person comes and will do all this entire information sharing with the child. But again, in homeschooling there is one person who teaches the child. There is a structure that is followed. It is not haphazard कि जो मन में आया वो करेंगे. No. हाँ, अब कहाँ करेंगे, कैसे करेंगे, the child can have choices around that. Okay. Now what's unschooling? Not sure how many of you have heard of this word unschooling. UN schooling, unschooling. मतलब स्कूल ही नहीं कर जाना है, पढ़ना ही नहीं है. No, that's not what it means. स्कूल हम फिजिकल स्कूल नहीं जा रहे हैं, होम स्कूलिंग में भी नहीं जा रहे हैं, अनस्कूलिंग में भी नहीं जाएंगे. Unschooling is entirely different from traditional schooling and homeschooling. Unschooling is a trending thing now in India as well, which has stemmed up from homeschooling. And in unschooling, there is no teacher. The child is allowed to choose the information the child wants to learn, and the child can look to build up upon their own knowledge without having a teacher to sit and teach them. आज तुम्हें ये करना है, आज तुम्हें वो करना है. No. The child may wake up every day at 10 o'clock and start to learn coding, for example, by himself. And he may learn it for 10 hours a day for the next 6 months, all by himself, without anyone actually sitting and teaching him. He might just look to explore it by himself. Or he can just pick up 2-3 varied subjects of his interest, for example, literature, history, and say economics. This can be done even by a 6 or 8-year-old, age no bar. The child is only given resources around. The child can choose whatever they want to pick and study on their own. Now, some parents who are so hell-bent on traditional schooling will be shattered and scared if they hear me talk about unschooling. Unschooling actually benefits the child, okay? Because the child chooses to learn whatever is his interest. अब अपने हिसाब से उठेगा, खाएगा, पिएगा, सोएगा, बुक नहीं पढ़ेगा, टेक्स्ट बुक से नहीं पढ़ेगा, तो what is he going to do? कॉलेज नहीं जाएगा क्या? नहीं, कॉलेज जाने की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ती है ना. He is so educated by the time you're traditional college going student that now he's good enough to become a professor in the college. Why? Because they picked one subject, they did excellent in that subject. Now they want to only continue their life in that subject, make a career out of that subject. And today you will be surprised how many job opportunities are available to people who are able to pick up the subjects of their choice and master those subjects. Now let's go back to delving a little bit of detail, not too much. Obviously in today's half an hour 45 session, all questions may not get answered. But since you know the channel, you can definitely write it here. Now, when I'm going to talk about traditional schooling, most of us who are here live or most of you who will be watching this channel, I can fairly say 99.9% of all of us have been traditionally schooled. Yeah, most of us are in our 30s, 40s, 50s, and we have all been traditionally schooled. Which means 3 साल हुआ, nursery, KG, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 8th के ग्रेड में भी चल के अगर पापा या मम्मी से कहा, you know what, I want to pick up this as my career, keep quiet is the response you would get from your parents. चुपचाप स्कूल जाओ, take your bag, go to school, जो भी करना है, everything after college. So at 15 years, we do our 10th grade. At 15, 16, 17, we do our 12th grade. 18, 19, 20, 3 years of higher studies or 4 years of higher studies. So by the time we are 20, 21, हम अभी तक अपना करियर नहीं चूज कर सकते हैं, लेकिन हमारी शादी कराई जा सकती है. ओके, नाउ दैट्स एन एंटायरली डिफरेंट टॉपिक टू डिस्कस अबाउट, बट थिंक अबाउट इट. यू हैव बीन ट्राइंग टू गेट योरसेल्फ टू गेट समवेयर फॉर द लास्ट 20 years and you're still not trusted on the choice you make. Most of us have faced this, no, in our career. I want to do engineering, so all parents are excellent, very good, do engineering. I want to do fashion designing, they'll be like, are you crazy? I want to do a beautician and hair course, are you nuts? बाल काटो कि लोगों का? चुपचाप जाओ कॉलेज में जाओ और पढ़ाई करो एंड पिकअप CA और MBA और समथिंग लाइक दैट. Oh my God. Okay, fine, whatever. Most of us have had to give up our choices early on. Now, with traditional schooling, what happens is we get enormous amount of information, and by the time we actually apply all the information that we have learned to the career time of application, we feel 75% of the information was obsolete. Only 25% is applicable. No, most of us have felt that. पता नहीं स्कूल में मैंने इतना सब कुछ क्यों पढ़ा, हिस्ट्री पढ़ा, ज्योग्राफी पढ़ा, ट्रिग्नोमेट्री पढ़ा, सब कुछ पढ़ा, आखिर अभी तो I'm not using any of it. But you know what? That was information. It took us all those subjects to realize the one subject that we really want to pick up, and that made the rest of the 75% obsolete. By the time we did this, my only concern over here in this traditional schooling system is, by the time we realized that all this education was important, I would never say education is it's been useless. No, never. Every single day, everything that you learn, teach, everything is equally important. You never know when it will be applicable in life. However, how I want to, guide my life, pick up a career, have a choice on what I want to do in my future. By the time I realized that, I feel I wasted 20 years. 20 years is almost like 1/4 of my lifetime. I spent 1/4 of my lifetime only deciding what I want to do for the remaining half of my lifetime. Quite a bit of time. Now, how homeschooling helps here? How homeschooling helps here is, it gives me a structure. As a child, I am allowed to pick and choose my subjects, and this can start at any age. Homeschooling, unschooling can start at any age. From the age of 3, 4, 5, you can even stop in between at grade 2 when your child has a different interest. You can start differently. I will also give you an example that I have had with my homeschooling journey. Yes, I have been questioned by an enormous amount of people. You run your own school. How come you chose to homeschool your own child? Well, there was a need to do that, and that was a beautiful option available, so we used it, and it worked perfectly well for our child. So, education, my dear, has to always be in favor of the person who is looking to learn, not in the favor of the person who is looking to teach, right? I can teach anything, anytime, so many people, but अगर जिसको सीखना है उसी को उसकी ज़रूरत नहीं है, तो what is the point, right? So, homeschooling. How did it work? I'll just give you a practical example. In fact, today, in another 5 minutes or so, I'll be calling one homeschooling parent. She's a doctor. She's been on this on this platform for quite some time. And she also chose to homeschool her 3 kids. Now, I'll just give you a brief of my homeschooling journey. Although I have been running a school since 2011, Head Over Heels School, we've been running it since 2011. Somewhere down the line, when my son early on picked up a passion for himself, we trusted in our child. And husband and wife together made a conscious choice that we will homeschool him. Now, we did our own research. We spoke to a few people to understand what is homeschooling, and then we decided to homeschooling. It perfectly worked in his favor. He had chosen a sport for himself which required extensive traveling. So, if you had to travel with your child, that child was not going to be able to attend school very regularly. And the so called excellent and established schools refused to give him admission. They also have told me on my face that if your child is not going to be giving, the required number of presentee days, how do you think we are going to pass him to the next grade? And here I have been thinking that all you need to do is just give an examination paper to pass the next grade, no? Ultimately, we all just cram up for the examination dates and give our exams and go on to the next grade, no? But no, even at the age of, 7 and 8, my son was questioned. How can you just let him not attend school, go on his trips and, take care of his passion? Don't you think it is just too early for you to do that? Surprising. But the best part was we stuck to our decision. We trusted in our child. And well, he went on to win international championships and he did excellent for himself. And he's so satisfied with the fact that we homeschooled him and we did not get him into the grill of getting up in the morning, run, take a bus, go to school, come back, study, and then go back to pick up your passion as well. Ultimately, the objective is I should know what is my passion, isn't it? Isn't that what we ultimately do at our age? हमें जो जॉब अच्छा लगता है हम वही करते हैं. आज अगर ये जॉब पसंद नहीं आया, we start looking out for another job. Correct? But if my child has been able to identify that early on, why should I then push him into the rigmarole of trying to do something different when I have been gifted with the fact that my child can already select something for himself? Now, unschooling. Unschooling does not have any structure. Now, since in a homeschooling, what would happen is I would still have a timetable that I follow. It's just that whether I do the 3 hours in the morning or in the afternoon or in the night is up to me or up to my child. Because now he doesn't have to get up and go to school and all, no. She just has to be in the house and, relax. Jab mujhe time mila, I am done with my work. Or whenever that teacher has time, she can come over and she can sit and teach the child. तो उस टाइम पे पढ़ाई हो जाता है. सो होम स्कूलिंग बेसिकली सेज कि ज्ञान बच्चे को मिलना चाहिए. स्कूल में बैठे बैठे 50 लोगों के बीच में ज्ञान नहीं मिल सकता है. तुम अपने से बैठ के पढ़ो. दैट इज होम स्कूलिंग. नाउ अनस्कूलिंग इज कोई तुम्हें कुछ नहीं पढ़ाने वाला है. तुम्हें अपनी लाइफ अपने से बनानी है. Wow, this sounds like such a mystical land where it's like, ऐसा भी कुछ होता है क्या? Can I just take my own time and pick up what I want to learn, explore and then actually pick up only on that and go ahead? ऐसा हो सकता है. ऐसा क्यों नहीं हो सकता है? और पता है क्यों नहीं हो सकता? सिर्फ और सिर्फ इसलिए because we have conditioned ourselves to otherwise. We have been drilled into our heads that if you do not go to a school, do not pass your 10th and your 12th and clear a college, your career is zero. That's been drilled into our heads. So there is no way you will think as a parent in any other form. Correct? Suppose your child has experienced homeschooling, has experienced unschooling. Can you imagine how beautifully these options your child can give to your grandchildren? Your grandchildren are going to be much more flourished, of course, because they get to choose what they want to do. No? So, right now, parents who are homeschooling their child or so-called homeschooling their child because they do not want to send the child to online classroom. Well, I would really like to ask this question. Please don't take me wrong. Suppose we have to continue this online pattern for another 3 years. At least 2 साल से तो हम देखते आ रहे हैं. Jan, Feb, government says open the school. Suddenly March, April, everything goes down the drain. Then everybody again packs up bags and sit in the house. So let's see how it will work now. Suppose the next 2 years are with the pandemic and are going to go on with online schooling. Are you going to be able to have the passion to continue educating your child from home all by yourself? Now, several times you must have heard me say homeschooling or unschooling is a way of life. It is, me as a parent accepting that I do not have to worry about my child's education. It is me accepting that my child will do well for himself or herself and will not have to get through the rat race of the school. I am there to support. If there is any help that my child needs, I am there to support. And thanks to the beauty of NIOS, which is National Institute for Open Schooling, NIOS. Thanks to NIOS, more and more parents are happily getting into homeschooling. The genuine way of homeschooling, where they are not worried about their child's education anymore. They know that the child is going to pick up on his choice and do whatever they would like to and be able to make a career for themselves. You know why? Because that's been their way of life. You know why? Because they have been conditioned to think that way. Unlike us, who has been conditioned that school nahi gaye, college nahi gaye, to koi career nahi hai. Now, some of us amongst this are quite gifted. Some of us amongst this are quite gifted. How? Some of our children can tell us early on in their life what they want to do. It is told, I being a student of psychology, being a child counselor, we learn that typically by the age of 10, many children have a choice that they want to do with their career. Okay? They also sometimes express it to their parents. But are parents able to pick it up and build on it? That depends upon the parent's futuristic point of view. If the parent is able to accept that yes, my child has the sensibility to come and tell me that yes, I want to do this. If my child has the sensibility to come and tell me, kudos to my parenting, no? Please, parents, here I really want to advise you that if your child is telling you that I love skating and I want to pursue a career in skating, or I love skating, please put me to a one-to-one class for skating where I can see how I can do better from what I'm already doing. Are we willing to take that chance? Honestly, here there is no question about whether I can afford it at all. Because see, affordability is all very notional. Okay, some people can afford a school fees of 20 lakhs and some people cannot even or do not even want to afford a fees of 20,000. So we are not talking about affordability at all over here. My child has voiced his or her opinion on a possibility of a career. Am I able to accept that conversation in the first place? That's the question I have for parents. Because if you do have the patience to sit down and listen to your child, then excellent. Then you are going to be able to build a career for your child early on. Why do I say that you will build a career? Simply because when they are really young, they do need our support, no? They cannot simply fan out on their own and get to going things and doing things on their own. They need our support, they need our guidance. But are we willing to listen to them? Well, people have called me also crazy when my child at 5.5 years of age said that, yes, I want to pick up this sport. And first, we also found it a little weird. But then when he showed that, he's just up to it, he's not going to move back on this. I said, fine, great, we'll support you. We knew at the back of our mind that we are going to take this to the extent that the child is willing to take it. Okay? And whether the child can actually do it or not depends upon all the positivity that you can give. Now, how does this affect in the traditional schooling? Traditional schooling does not have too much time. Traditional schooling does not give you too much time because you have to complete, as a school, the school has to complete X number of subjects, X number of textbooks, and the child has to be able to put out all those number of pages into the examination. Now here I have a small debate, I've had this several times. Suppose I, at the age of say 7th or 8th, am able to tell my parent that I want to pick up fashion designing. Although my parent is open to accepting me wanting to do fashion designing, The funny part is whether the education system allows me to do fashion designing at the age of 8th grade. No. It expects you to complete your 10th and 12th and then only come to fashion designing. So they definitely expect you to know things around the world, the altitude and longitude, and then the history of who did which battle in which year, all of it. And then they expect you to come only if you know all your algebraic expressions and your trigonometries and everything. Then you have to clear your 10th, then you have to clear your 12th, then you can come and do fashion designing. You cannot just have a natural talent to do fashion designing and pick up that course. No. Unfortunate, isn't it? I was just giving fashion designing as a course. Now think about it, as a child who wants to do mechanical engineering or electrical engineering. And at the age of, fourth grade, is able to identify the fault in a car and able to tell that, yes, this is what has gone wrong in the car. This is what needs to be fixed. First of all, we'll all be like, hakka bakka reh jayenge. Really? How did you get to know that? We will not look to actually say, wow, which books did you read? We will say, instead of studying your EVS history and geography books, did you actually pick up a car making book and sit and study that? You think you have the time for it? So although the child is showing talent, gift, that's innate, we don't let that happen. Then we blame it on the traditional schooling. Traditional schooling needn't necessarily be for all. Traditional schooling is a good format for being a part of the whole system to grab certain amount of knowledge in a group. School is supposed to teach beyond textbooks. Now, how many schools actually do that is for you to actually just explore and figure out. Every school allows you to get into the gate, and those schools who do not allow you to get into the gate, please tell me if you really even want to enter such gates. As a parent, you're not allowed to enter the gate. Tomorrow, what kind of issue will you go up to them and say that yes, I want to talk about this? They'll not let you enter the gate only. Right? But then there are a lot of new age schools which actually are open to parents' discussions, open to parents' feedback, and they actually put that to effect. Because these are schools who want to work for the child. If during the pandemic you have chosen to teach your child at home, then you can definitely get your child into mainstream schooling. Even if you have unschooled your child at home, you can definitely get into mainstream schooling by giving a letter that I have homeschooled my child. Okay? Schools, as per law, as per educational rules, are supposed to accept children based on their age. This is clearly mentioned in RTE law, Right to Education, that a child has to be able to get admission based on their age, not entirely on their knowledge. But yes, when you're getting into a third grade or a fourth grade or even a first grade, the school typically wants to check how much the child knows. Now, based on this test that they conduct, some schools even fail the child and say he is not ready to come to grade 1. Now, that's an entirely different story, okay. But most schools, when they do a test, they just want to check the knowledge of the child. And at least in our school, we do not do any test for children at all. We just accept them as they are. And we prefer to learn along with them about themselves. If the child knew so much and I only have to teach so much, I think they might also sit in the house and get a personal tutor and do it. They don't need to come to school. If you have in this pandemic been teaching your child at home, irrespective of the grade, be prepared to give a test when the child is going to get into mainstream schooling. Then please don't come back to social platforms and say, उसने ऐसा test लिया, ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए था, वैसा नहीं करना चाहिए था. No, you chose to go out of the regular path, right? I'm telling this to you with experience. When I homeschooled my child and when my school was not ready for a high school and we chose to take a child into other schools for admission, we were shunned away in spite of my child's international achievements. Well, I do not go to schools and tell them who I am. I usually just say, I'm a housewife. But that is just for me to know what experience I get. And almost all the times I have been shunned away. And the one time that he got accepted into a school because those people happened to know me, there again he was taken one grade lower. It was a little disappointing, but then we had to go ahead with it because his friends were in that grade. So again, like I said, homeschooling is a journey. You accept everything that's coming along, but it's not for the weak-hearted, honestly. If you're not ready to accept the problems that it might come along with, then please do not sit and teach your child in the house. Instead of that 1 hour that you sit and teach your child in the house, take admission in a regular school and please put them in that classroom and make yourself sit with that child. I hope I'm clear. Because the child can never be blamed. This is my simple rule. Okay? How they are brought up, how they are taught is what matters. Similarly, in homeschooling, unlike schooling your child at home as a stopgap arrangement for the pandemic, homeschooling will have a structure being done by someone who knows the whole topic. Okay? So when I homeschooled my child, I researched about the topics. And then I sat to study with my child. I did not sit to teach my child. There's a very big difference in sitting and teaching my child and sitting to study with my child. Then I become of that age and sit and study with my child like I am that 6 or 7 or 8-year-old. ये हर किसी के बस की बात नहीं है. I am not telling this with pride, I am telling this with experience. I am telling this with experience as a homeschooler. I'm a person who has homeschooled for 3 years, taken a break and again homeschooled for 2 years and again gone back to mainstream schooling. Okay? I'm telling this to you with my experience of running a school for the last 12 years. I'm also telling this to you not with pride but with my experience of being a counselor. So if you are going to teach your child in the house just as a stopgap arrangement because of the pandemic, do not blame the child. Do not blame the school on what all parameters they are going to check your child for, because they also need to make sure that the child is aware of certain amount of things than just taking admission, filling up a form, giving the check and then coming in. No, that is not going to happen. Don't expect the school to be too kind with you. Most importantly, if you are not aware of the topic, please do not teach it. It's like someone who does not know engineering sitting and teaching a child who wants to pursue engineering on how to build a bridge. Dude, how can you do that? So if you're not aware of phonics, if you're not aware of tense and ones introduction, if you're not aware of syllables, consonants, not aware of 2-letter joining words, 3-letter words, please do not sit and teach your child in the house. You're not built for it, simply. If you really want to sit and teach your child in the house, sit with your child in the online classroom and listen to what the teacher is teaching. And then if you want, you can look to repeat it in the house. जिस चीज का इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं है, प्लीज उस इंफॉर्मेशन को आगे बांटना मत. This is my simple and straightforward, not sugar-coated information to parents who are currently looking to call themselves as homeschoolers but teaching their child in the house as a stopgap arrangement to get to mainstream school. When we admit a homeschooling child into a mainstream school, we see very often that these homeschooling children are way ahead with their knowledge and sensibility as compared to the traditionally schooled children. Okay? So if your child is not above the caliber of the traditionally schooled children, I am definitely going to question how you homeschooled your child, for how long you homeschooled your child. So let me tell you, there are so many different platforms, even on Facebook, where you can go and take assistance for homeschooling. So parents, once for all, let's understand that a step-gap arrangement to teach your child in the house because your child doesn't want to be in the online class is not homeschooling. That is simply you teaching your child in the house, and whether you have the knowledge or not, आपको हर जगह चल के ये बात प्रूव करते रहना पड़ेगा, because the school will ask who homeschooled your child, and you will have to say it was you without having the background of knowing how to teach. So don't get into that issue. Okay? Even better, simply call one teacher home who is good with what she can do and get her to teach your child. Let me now take this opportunity to call on Dr. Sharon Ali. Dr. Sharon is a doctor in homeopathy, and she's very, very well known in Pune for her. Doctor, I think you you dropped off. You dropped off. Okay, I'll just continue with what doctor does. She is a homeschooling parent now, and she is going to join us. It's just that she's struggling to see how she can do that. 1 minute. Guys, just give me 2 minutes. I'll just help her get into the screen. Doctor, are you? Yes, doctor, I'm adding you on the screen. Can you accept the request? Okay. So doctor has 3 daughters. They did go to a school earlier, but later on, she as a doctor herself dropped the idea of sending them to traditional school, and she brought them into homeschooling pattern. Now, how that pattern helped her is something very, very interesting. And I'm trying to add her on. I think she's having some technical concerns to be on the platform. Doctor, when you get the request, you just have to accept it. I'm sending you a request to join, and when you get the request, you need to accept it. I'm asking your permission to bring you on my camera. So you just have to click the accept request. Okay. Doctor is unable to accept it. I think there is some technical concern that she's facing. Okay, someone's saying my voice is not clear. Has it not been clear for quite some time, or is it just now? In the meanwhile, let me just go through the conversation that we have here. Reshma Sagri, appreciate the conversation. Thank you. Carol, thank you. Sujata, hi. Yes, nice to see you here. Jankana, yes. So you had posted on the Pune Parents Facebook page, it is managed by Madhuri ma'am, that, hota kya hai homeschooling? Why don't you explain? So I hope today's explanation has been clear enough to understand what is homeschooling. Now, if anybody wants to take further information from me, you can definitely get in touch with me. You can connect with me on Messenger. Reshma has written, huge difference, agree sitting and studying, learning versus teaching. Yes, definitely. Voice is not clear. Okay. So is it clear now? I hope the voice is clear now. Maybe because I was trying to switch between screens, the voice went off. I'm going to make one more attempt to see if I can join in Dr. Sharon Ali. Doctor, are you able to accept my request? Ah, okay. Let me just make one more attempt. Doctor, are you able to, see my request? Because we are really eager to know. It's been 2 years of you conducting online, the homeschooling pattern for your children. And we are all very keen to hear your journey with all the 3 kids of yours. It'll be something that all of us would like to hear and benefit from. So guys, please have a little bit of patience. Doctor has just come back from her clinic and she's definitely trying to get on camera with me, but something's not working great. Uh-huh.
Can you hear me now?
Ah, finally, Dr. is on board. Thank you
Sorry,
so
I'm
much.
so sorry. I'm so
Thank you,
sorry.
doctor. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure, my
Welcome.
pleasure. Yes.
Is my voice echoing?
No, I can hear you perfectly fine.
Okay, great. So, doctor, my questions to you are going to be very simple. First, I would like you to please introduce yourself.
I'm Dr. Sharon Ali. I'm a homeopath, and I've got three daughters aged 10, 8, and 3. I have had them in school, and then I've taken them out, and I'm now at the present homeschooling.
Okay, that's lovely. Now, doctor, I want to ask, you are a doctor.
Mhm.
So, how does it work for you as a doctor to... doctor dropped out. Ah, I'm sure this must be really difficult for her too. Um, oh, my voice was
Hello?
echoing. Yes, I thought so. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So,
So, doctor, you being a doctor, mainstream student,
yes.
how did you choose to consider homeschooling for your three girls?
Okay, so there are many things that came into this. I did try putting them into a school first. I was so I studied in a very nice school, and I had very high hopes, or I had a very high standard for a school, and I kept looking around for a school which would fit my bill, but I couldn't. Then I found something which I thought would work, but it was very far away. So I thought, okay, it's far, but then it's fitting most of the things I need. But in that journey, my children really suffered because they were traveling too far. My eldest child is a little shy, and that didn't help. You know, she would not talk in class, she would not answer, she would come back with more questions than solutions. And I thought that it was affecting her confidence at one point. So when I decided to take them out, it was because of the fact that she was not doing well, and I had clinic timings which were more towards the evening. Since we're doctors, we have more evening busy, and that's when the children would.
I think we lost network with the doctor. Okay. I think we lost network with the doctor. Let me just check once again. Well, the perils of internet age. Thank you for the patience. All of you who are sitting and watching, I'm sure you're eager to understand her journey as a doctor, how she chose this. Um, let me see how this works for her. Just hang on to your patience a little bit more. It'll be lovely. If you can hear her out and ask your questions directly to her, that'll also be great. So I think her network dropped, and that's why I'm unable to add her as well. I'll just give it another couple of minutes, please.
I'm
In
right
the
now, sorry.
meanwhile,
Please excuse me, I'm a
yes.
doctor. I'm getting calls.
Okay.
Yeah, so the thing is, I am using help. I have tutors who come. I have someone who's helping me with the lesson planning. I have two other tutors, one who teaches Hindi because I'm not good at that. So Hindi and Marathi is taught by someone else. And I also have someone who teaches them English and science. So it's not like the whole thing is on me because I can't do that. But what I like about this is that I can do a more one-on-one with my children. I can tailor make the education to them, and I don't have to compromise between career and children. So that is what actually took me towards doing homeschooling.
Oh, that's lovely. You clearly mentioned you do not have to take a choice between career and children. You're able to manage both of it beautifully purely because of the homeschooling pattern. That's an excellent statement you made. So, doctor, how has it benefited your children? in specific? What is it that they look forward to through homeschooling?
Yeah, so my child was
Doctor, your
very,
voice is not very
my
clear.
children were very, they were not up at par with the school when I took them out. And
Doctor, your
they
voice
were
is very faint. You might want to just take the microphone closer. Yes, yes.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. It's just that the voice is a little faint. But doctor, please continue. Before you get another call, we'll still try and make the best out of your conversation with us.
That my children have now gone ahead, and I've been able to do a lot of life skills with them, and I was also able to help them do a lot of pursue their hobbies. So since the timing was all set to me, and I could plan the day out for them, I could schedule their day according to my needs and their needs, and I didn't feel the need for them to, um, study and then come back and then do homework, and then I'll end up just taking care of their homework or things like that. So since that was not there, I was able to maybe plan my day better. I think that's what I would say, and they benefited from that. So my children are now doing a little bit of their hobbies too, and they get a little extra time. Yeah.
That's lovely. So simply put, according to you, how is homeschooling different from traditional schooling? You come from a traditional schooling pattern. Your children are getting
Very
homeschooled.
different.
How do you differentiate between the two?
So homeschooling is more, so the teacher-child ratio is very different. Uh, that's one thing which I found very different. So, like if my child doesn't finish her studies, I can get behind her because, it's just me and her. So we have to be more, um, yeah. So that's the one thing that is different. The other thing is that it's more tailored to their needs. So my elder child is more visual. My middle child is more experiential. She likes experiencing and then deciding her own conclusion. So that kind of a difference. And my elder child also has a problem with spellings. So we teach her more with audio visuals. We teach her more as long as she's understood the concept, we go ahead. So that kind of, how can I say, tailor making can be done when we're homeschooling, and that I find very easy.
Okay, that's like very simple, looks very straightforward, no complication, no घर आओ, travel करो, आके tuition में जाओ, and then आज खेलने मिलेगा, नहीं मिलेगा, no confusion. Everything's tailor-made, everything's convenient, one to one. All subjects are being learned. I think Dr. Ali got another call. Okay. Actually, guys, my next question to her was any advice to parents that she would like to give who would like to consider homeschooling? So that was my next question that I'd kept ready. But let's see if we are able to connect with her. So until we are going to be able to connect with her, let me just make it clear one more time to all those parents who are thinking that they are homeschooling, but
Can you hear me
actually
now?
not. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I
yes,
think
we
I
can hear you.
now we can hear each other. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, so I find that the easy thing that I can plan my day, I can plan their day, I can decide what to do, and I don't have to compromise on my clinic timings. So I'm available
That's
for the
very
children
important.
and the parents. Yeah.
That's lovely. So, doctor, what would be your advice to parents who want to homeschool?
So I don't know, Kavita. I missed your part of the webinar. I was not getting linked in, but the difference between homeschooling and unschooling is that homeschooling is a little more structured. Okay, so I want people who want to homeschool to know that it is a lot of hard work. It is not
Yes.
simple. There is lesson planning, there's teaching them, and there's the importance of researching, and then you're trying to find things. There's a lot that a teacher does behind the lecture, and it's only 1 hour of lecture. So, so if someone is willing to do that, they get into it. Otherwise, they leave it to someone who knows how to do it.
Knows it best. Yes,
Knows it
that's
best.
true.
Yes,
That's true. You
that's
said
true.
it
That's
right.
true. You said it
So,
right.
especially
So,
my concern
especially
comes
my concern comes
to those parents
to
who have
those
been
parents who
considering
have been
homeschooling
considering
during the
homeschooling
pandemic,
during the
are
pandemic,
not teachers,
are not
but are
teachers,
sitting and teaching
but are
children.
sitting and teaching children.
However, they don't know what is
However, they
being
don't
taught
know what is being
in
taught
schools.
in schools. Mhm.
And then they go around
And then
social
they go
media
around
platforms
social
asking
media
what is the
platforms
planner.
asking what is the planner. No, 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 no,
So,
no,
what?
no,
How
no,
would
no,
you
no. So
advise to
what?
such
How would
parents?
you advise to such parents? Don't do it. I'm sorry, it's not. I see it. As I said, I'm homeschooling myself, but then it is not something for the faint-hearted. One. The second thing is the
I
the whole
used the
family has
same
to be
words
online.
during my conversation
During
when you
my
had not
conversation
joined
when
in
you
yet.
had not joined in yet. The second thing is you means the whole family has to be on board. You know, your husband, your family, your in-laws, your whoever's with you has to be part of it because everything has to be sorted, right? Usually in a regular home, the mother can be cooking and the children will be, doing whatever they want. Here, it's not like that. The children have to also cook, the children have to also clean, the children have to also do what the parents are doing because both the parent and the child have to get free together to sit together and study.
Wow,
Wow.
that's
So
perfectly said.
that's perfectly said. Yes, so that's not as simple when you are trying to homeschool and the rest of the family is not at par with you.
Thank you so much, doctor.
Thank you so
Your
much,
words were
doctor.
like
Your
wise
words were like
pearls
wise
coming out.
pearls coming out.
And I think I
And
resonate
I
with
think
what you
I
do
resonate
because
with
you
what
have
you
an
do
I,
because you have an
you and I have
you and
homeschooled our
I
children,
have homeschooled our children. Yes.
and we know what it takes to
And we
be
know
there
what.
as working parents ourselves. So yes, okay. Finally, doctor just has got another call again. So, but I think our conversation with doctor has been well. Now, parents, I leave the choice to you because as our children are really small, what they want to do, they are definitely going to come and inform it to you. What you do with that information is definitely a choice that you can make. Please let your children be individuals who can voice out their opinion, who can inform you about their likes and dislikes, especially when it comes to choosing what they want to learn. It is a myth. It is a myth, and it is incorrectly conceptualized by many, many people that if you do not school, if you do not go to college, you are not educated, your life is doomed. ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं है. If I have to take names of achievers in today's world, you will know that they have all either been in school and just been college dropouts, or basically never attended school, or never even did very well in their schooling. Yes, you will counter me saying, उनको क्या था, उनका तो अच्छा नसीब था. नहीं, नसीब बनाया जाता है. They took that hard work path to make a niche for themselves. We lost a beautiful soul yesterday, देश की बेटी Lata Mangeshkar ji, such a legend. She has been in the world of singing even before we got our independence. And she has been singing until the age of 90. She picked her passion by choice, by compulsion, but she stuck to it and she made wonders out of it. So did her sisters. Now I will be ready to take names of, say, Virat Kohli, say, Shah Rukh Khan, or say, Tendulkar, say, Chetri from football, or Rani Rampal from women's hockey. Do you know what is their educational journey? Really nothing much. But they all made a niche for themselves because their parents listened to their requirements early on and guided them in that channel. And when they did not look to waste 20 years of time to realize that 25% of all I learned is what I need to actually apply, the 75% is useless. Their 75% became the most useful thing because they applied it early on. So be those parents who are willing to listen to their child. Be the one to take the risk early on in your child's life. Not at 2021. By then they can do things on their own. They need your support now. So be there for them now. It's quite possible that another 5 years after they have chosen a particular interest, it will fall out. तब क्या करेंगे? आप आएंगे क्या हमको सजेस्ट करने के लिए कि क्या करना है? I don't know. आप मेरे पास आएंगे तो I can give you suggestions. But you and I are not the ones who build a child's career. Let me be very clear about that. Our children build their own career, provided they get the right support at the right time. So let's invest time in them now instead of doing it 20, 25 years later. So when they are voicing out to you that this is what I want to do, let's hear them out. फिर आप चाहो उनको ट्रेडिशनल स्कूलिंग में रखो, होम स्कूलिंग करो या अनस्कूलिंग करो. Ultimately, this is a path of education, right? So on that note, I am open to take up questions. Uh, Reshma has said it's a good conversation. Thank you. Um, Yes, she mentioned, doctor mentioned that it is the ability to manage homeschooling and career both. In fact, incidentally, today I had a doctor, a skin and hair specialist, who called me to ask which school I should choose. And that her child is, her twins are 2 year old. And I just told her, why are you hurrying to look out for schools now? Let them join some school close by where they can just walk and come back and you spend more time with them. They spend more time with themselves just learning and playing. And in these 3-4 years, you go around school shopping. Try to figure out which is the one that respects you for who you are without letting them know what your profession is. Because nobody is asking you to fill up that form with a gun on your head, correct? When you go to visit a school, in that application form, you can write whatever you want. You can just write as housewife as well, or just as a house husband as well. You don't need to take ego into your turn at that time. You can give all your personal details when your child has gotten the admission. But if today the school is going to give you admission based on your credibility, then be clear that your credibility is not equating your child's credibility. Okay? So then forever, if anything goes wrong with your child doing some mischief in the school, you're always going to say, देखो मेरा क्या नाम था और तुम मेरा नाम खराब कर रही हो. Your child doesn't want to hear all that. All right? So hopefully today I have been able to explain to you all the difference between traditional schooling, its benefits, what is homeschooling, its benefits, and what is unschooling and its benefits. If you have further questions, please post it over here. I would like to answer it. If you would like to connect with me personally, you can send me a personal message and we can connect from there. Thank you very much for your time today. Happy educational times. Relax, your children will do well. If you do not know something, don't try to go about teaching it unless you have researched it. And please leave certain parts of life to those who know to do it the best. 1 minute, I have a question here. And what about social aspects in homeschooling? Does children ask that their other children are going to school, why I am not going? Well, that is why I call it a journey, no? You explain the pros and cons of the journey when hum log, for example, if we are going to travel, take a train or take a flight and get somewhere. What do? We tell our children what to expect, right? देखो फ्लाइट में खाना मिलेगा नहीं पता. आई एम पैकिंग अप सम थिंग्स, paratha, idli, dosa, whatever. You better eat it now before we board the flight. We prepare them, no? See, we are going to go in a train. The toilets are not going to be clean. It will stop at unknown stations. I'm not going to buy you anything from the streets. You better eat what I'm giving you, right? It's going to be cold in the plane, so you better wear warm clothes from now or carry a jacket in your bag. We prepare them, no? It's a journey. Prepare them. It's a journey that you take consciously with your child's consent. Then your child is not going to ask you, वो स्कूल जाते हैं मैं क्यों नहीं? क्योंकि वो स्कूल जाते हैं क्योंकि उन्हें जाना है. हम घर पे पढ़ रहे हैं, वो भी वहां पे पढ़ रहे हैं. आपको स्कूल जाना है तो आई विल सेंड यू टू स्कूल. आपको होम स्कूलिंग करना है, then we will do it together. My only objective today about bringing this topic of homeschooling was to let parents know that the interim period that you're looking to consider during the pandemic and looking to teach your child at home without having enough resources to teach your child the way a school or a teacher would do it for your child, that is not homeschooling. Homeschooling is a very researched, thoughtful format of schooling in the house by the entire family. You heard Dr. Sharon that everybody has to be on the same board with it. Even when your grandparents come, they don't come and ask you separately, तुम इनको क्यों नहीं स्कूल भेज रहे हो? They have also supposed to be a part of it. Yes, it's a very, very not so easy journey. But then, many beautiful things in life are not easy. So if your child ever asked you why they are going to school, why I am not, there's no one answer to that. You and your child have to come into consensus to understand why that needs to happen. So there will always be a reason why you want to homeschool your child, and that will be the reason you will carry through. I hope I have answered your question, Jankana. अगर मेरा आंसर अभी convincing नहीं लग रहा है, तो let's catch up later. Thank you very much to the audience who have been here patiently listening to me. I hope this is going to be beneficial for you, and I hope you look forward to more Facebook Lives from me. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening. Enjoy the coming week ahead. Take care.